Thanks for the support as a channel member, Stuart Chatterton. I had a couple of people in the comments yesterday disputing my theory that we are a good team, really. It's just the top six in the Premier League are the six best club sides in the world. And I was told, no, Kev, it's not that. You're just rubbish. That's why you're not winning the Premier League. Well, we went away to Paris Saint-Germain and beat them 4-1. So we'll see how we get on in the home leg in this episode. But I kind of feel like the top six teams in the Premier League might be the six best teams in the world. Hello and welcome to Club 4, part 36 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have a Premier League game at home against Everton and that second leg against Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League. And to just further what I was talking about in the intro there, you can see we lost 3-1 at home to Arsenal directly after we beat Paris Saint-Germain 4-1 away from home. We beat most of the teams that aren't the top six teams in the Premier League. Unfortunately, we have struggled a lot this season against the top six sides, and we currently do find ourselves in sixth place, albeit only 3 points behind Liverpool in fourth and with a game in hand on them, which we play now. So a win now against Everton does put us back up to fourth place. The title is long gone. It's Champions League or bust this season. And I think either way, I've made up my mind that this is my last season at Tottenham. I feel like I've taken the club as far as I can. So I am actively keeping an eye on the stuff that comes up on the job centre. I'm not just going to resign at the end of the year. So if nothing good comes up, I'm not going to go anywhere. I kind of feel like I don't want another Premier League job. We're going on an adventure. I'm just not sure where. We need one or some of the big European jobs to come up and become available. And I do wonder if maybe the Paris Saint-Germain job might... Oh, I don't know if we've got France loaded. Have we got France loaded? We have got France loaded. So, Paris Saint-Germain, if we knock them out of the Champions League here, that might be an interesting job. I have unfinished business in this series in the French League. Might be quite nice to go in as PSG, have loads of money to spend and not get relegated in Ligue 1 this time. That would be lovely. I also know there's going to be people commenting on the fact I'm wearing a hat. This whole not being able to get a haircut thing. I was having a haircut this week. I was right at the point where I needed my hair cutting. I've got a lot of hair. It needs cutting. You might see a lot of me in hats over the coming weeks and months until I can get... I've been watching videos to try and figure out how to cut my own hair. That probably isn't... That will probably result in me having to wear a hat for even longer if I attempt that. So, the Everton game. This is the team that we're putting out there for that match. We've got Francisco in goal. A back four of Philippe, Rodriguez, Fotheringham and Jair. Vermonti at the base of the midfield. João Victor and Vargas ahead of him. Rott then in behind George and Fernando up front. So let's jump into the game. Make sure we've got our attacking version of the tactic on. It looks like that says positive. So the more attacking of the two systems. The defensive one did work really, really well against Paris Saint-Germain. But then we went back to attacking for the Arsenal game and got battered. So I am wondering if maybe we're better at defending than attacking these days. It would make sense because Banfalvi is one of our better players. Jair and Philippe are the two best fullbacks in the world. We've got many other good centre-backs to partner Banfalvi. We've got a fantastic defensive midfielder in Vermonti or Vargas, whichever one plays. But then looking further forward, we've got Carlos, who isn't up for it anymore, and we don't really have an attacking midfielder who's a pure attacking midfielder. So it might be that maybe we should be defending a little bit more. Jair trying to do some Jair things early on to get the ball rolling, forces a corner, still less than 2 minutes on the clock. It would be perfect to grab an early goal here. Fernando takes the corner and it's headed clear as Vargas attempts to challenge for it. João Victor picking up the scraps though, plays it across to Fotheringham, who stayed forward. He finds Vermonti and the move just stops. That was as much as we were getting from that move. And as it stands, we do jump back above Manchester City again, but they have a game in hand behind us. So it is very important that we win this game today. Not because I'm desperate. I'm fully expecting not to be here next year. So it doesn't really matter to me whether we qualify for the Champions League or not. But I probably will get sacked if we don't. So I don't want to get sacked because then it's much harder to find another job. Killian Rott has just put us 1-0 up. After me saying he's not a proper attacking midfielder, he's gone and done some attacking midfielder things. Jair getting involved in it. Vargas, I think, involved as well. So here's Jair keeping it in nicely. Plays it across. Oh, it was Wesley Fernando, not Vargas. Back to Jair again, who then finds Fernando again. And there is Rott, just to hit it into an open goal, really. And that puts us back up to 4th place. Top of the chasing pack. Arsenal, Man United, Chelsea, they're long gone. Hopefully, the 3 of them will be fully focused on this title race and not getting involved in the Champions League hunt. Vargas has just put us 2-0 up from the corner. It's his 4th goal of the season. It is a very tasty corner from Fernando. Looking at it on the replay, it floats over nicely. Vargas is actually the one who wins the header. Few, who we were trying to sign 18 months ago, just pushes it back into the path of Vargas, who then tucks it into the back of the net from an awkward angle. It was a very tidy finish from Vargas, but at 2-0 up, I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable. Dele Alli is playing for Everton, and he did score the winner against us in the reverse fixture, but I'm hoping at 2-0 up, that's less likely to be an issue, even if he does go and grab his goal against us. And there's a few ex-Spurs players in there. Lo Celso, whatever his name is, he's in there as well as a former Spurs player. They were probably the only 2. But of course, we've got a lot of former Everton players in our side. Nick Carter, who's not playing today, came through Everton. Who else came from Everton? Dave Azzopardi, of course, came from Everton, but he's long gone. Have we got any Everton players or former Everton players on the pitch? I don't know that we have now, actually. Fotheringham might have passed through Everton. I think he came to us from Birmingham, but he was somewhere else before that. In fact, looking at him, he's got an injury, so let's get him off the pitch. You know what? I might bring Marcos on. I think this might be Marcos' debut. Oh, no, he's played in the Champions League. Did he play against Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League as his only game? Well, I never. And got an assist, and he's not appeared since. What a monster I am. So we'll put him to be a normal centre-back. That might be why we did so well against Paris Saint-Germain, not playing with 2 ball-winning defenders, which people have told me for ages. Kev, don't do 2 ball-winning defenders. I didn't do it, and we smashed Paris Saint-Germain away from home. George is going to come off, so Vance can come on with 20 minutes to go as I continue to try and push him to the forefront. I want him to be a superstar, but he's not quite doing it just yet. Obviously, he'll have time, but it'll be time after I'm gone. And unless I take him with me, I guess. And obviously, I'm going to try and take Jair with me. And it might be that I have a change of heart yet. I do sometimes get a little bit like this in these seasons where it feels like, oh, it's not going right. I don't know what to do to fix it. I'm sure if we go and win the Champions League and somehow finish 3rd and storm the end of the season and look fantastic, I'll probably persuade myself to stay on for 1 more year because we're this close to a Premier League title then. But we'll at the moment, I do intend to leave. But these things change, as we know. This is a nice little move. Vance plays it forward, lovely ball over the top for Fernando, who is one-on-one with the keeper and just finishes comfortably. And this has been comfortable. Comfortable is the right word. I've just seen Arsenal's goal difference. There's no competing with that. After 30 games, they've got a goal difference of 63. That's double ours almost. And I thought we were a good team. Right, that was a good win. Round of applause for everybody involved. Now let's go do the same again against Paris Saint-Germain and book a spot in what I think would be the quarterfinals of the Champions League as we look to go and win the thing. Right, a couple of changes to the Paris Saint-Germain game. Vance is going to come in up front to play alongside George. He needs game time. He needs a big game. We need to see if he's any good. He's just been called up into the England squad again. England trust him. So I'm going to trust him against Paris Saint-Germain. The 4-1 lead that we've got is helpful in trusting him here. Sessegnon comes in at left back. Banfalvi comes in for the injured. Fotheringham. And other than that, it is the same side that just did so well against Everton. And hopefully we'll go out there and do equally well against Paris Saint-Germain, who we did thump in that first leg. If it looks like it's not going well early on, we have got both Fernando and Harry Kane down on the bench to come on and just protect Vance from everything. We cannot allow complacency to undo everything from the first leg. That is a team talk and a half, if you ask me. And hopefully we'll actually follow it and not let complacency undo everything we achieved in that first leg, because we were fantastic in the first leg. If we get knocked out here, that's pretty much season over. Certainly, well, it is season over with regard to the chance of winning anything. We're not in the FA Cup anymore. We've not. The League Cup is finished and we didn't win it. The Premier League we can't win because Arsenal are absurd. So it's got to be the Champions League, and they've got some fella called Haaland who used to play for Spurs and scored a lot of goals and then left for a lot of money. Looks like they're playing him on the wing though, so I'm happy for him to be out there. Sessegnon plays it to Vermonti, who plays out wide to Jair, who's going to try and do some Jair things for us. He beats his man. He crosses to George. It falls to Vance. And Francis Vance has scored against Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League. That's what happens when you put faith in a young player. 1-0 up on the night, 5-1 up on aggregate. Francis, this could be the making of Francis Vance tonight. Some of you have already typed your Kev, you're an idiot comments for playing him in this game. Well, this is the game he becomes a superstar. He's the new Harry Kane for Tottenham. He's only 20 years old, and this is the night that's going to make him. There's no pressure on him because we're already pretty much through. He just needs to go out there and do goals. Sessegnon looking across, finds João Victor, who heads it into the crossbar, or sort of floated it up into the crossbar. And Victor has had a very good season, by the way. He's forcing himself more and more into this team. He's been helped by injuries to other midfielders at certain points. Carter and Gravenberch both unavailable at the moment. So he's been helped by getting the opportunities, but he's certainly taken them and starting to look like a very good midfielder. Sessegnon now, someone who's not had much game time yet. Vance is in again and heads just wide. Vance is getting into some positions. I like him very much. He is my new favourite because he's a young English wonder kid. Now I tell you what, if he suddenly scored a half dozen goals between now and the end of the season and he gets a run in the team and looks good, he'll be a reason to stay at Spurs, because I'll want to see that project through, because wherever we go, we're probably not going to be able to buy him because it cost £80 million to sign him for Spurs. And he's not a finished article kind of thing. He's not the kind of player you come in at a new club and buy for £100 million as your Jadon Sancho marquee signing. Sessegnon in and shoots just over from just inside the penalty area. But we are very close to half time. Oh, in fact, it must have been a save from the keeper because we've got a corner. Vermonti with the in-swing, and that was a very tasty corner. Not quite able to head it goalwards, whoever it was aimed towards. I didn't actually catch the name of the player who was on the receiving end of it, but either way, they didn't score. Silly gooses. But we are 1-0 up at half-time, 5-1 up on aggregate. If we manage to mess this up from here, it will be the bottle job of all bottle jobs. Sessegnon now with the cross, and George heads just over. When you look at some of the players we've got on the pitch tonight as well, if you were to compare this to what I said was the first 11 at the start of the season, neither of these strikers were in that first 11. The two central midfielders, I mean, I guess Vargas and Vermonti would be, but Victor certainly wouldn't have been. And I would suggest maybe it would have been Carter and Gravenberch in there, so perhaps Rott not in there either. The left back, Sessegnon, no. We've got 5 or 6 players in this team who I wouldn't consider first names on the team sheet. And we're playing very well against a very good team. What a cross from Vermonti. Jair's in. Can he get a crossover? He can't. Jair's only had 3 assists this season. Has he won a penalty? I think he has won a penalty. That's lovely stuff if he has. I'm not sure who's going to step up to take it. Do we get a name? Are we going to find out who's taking this penalty? It's George to take the penalty and scores 2-0 up on the night, 6-1 up on aggregate. We're in the quarterfinal of the Champions League, boys and girls. We're not messing this up from here. The French fans are already on their way home. They've seen enough. We've done a really rather splendid job here, and I'm very happy with how we're playing. It's just good, isn't it? I was midway for a sentence before, and then we got a penalty. Oh, Jair, yes. I knew I was going somewhere. 17 assists, Premier League record for assists last season. Only 3 assists this year, despite him playing in the same role, in the same team, same formation. Something's just not clicking with Jair anymore. And it's not even that it's different players playing ahead of him, because more often than not, it's Vargas and Fernando ahead of him, like it was all last year. Ball forward, George intercepts nicely, and he's got Vance ahead of him. He decides he doesn't need him, has a cracking shot from the edge of the area, and it goes out for I think that one did go out for a goal kick, so it must have hit the post. It's sometimes difficult to tell if it's the post or a goalkeeper's hand. Paris Saint-Germain now with a corner, and I think they've got a goal back here. That is a goalmouth scramble. I don't know how it didn't cross the line, but somehow it didn't. The footballing gods are with us today. They've decided they want us to keep a clean sheet, it seems. Rott is going to come off And we're going to bring on, I think we haven't got anyone to push forward. I guess we really haven't. There's no one who can come on and play in that role. I'm tempted to get Harry Kane on again. He's done it in the Champions League a couple of times before. When we've got big games going on, just getting Harry Kane on for the sake of having him on the pitch seems to be my go-to move. He's our club captain. He's our most experienced player. He's got over 100 goals for England. It's just nice to have him on the pitch when we're trying to see out a game. Not that we've done anything tactically to attempt to see out this game. I suppose I could switch to the counter-attacking system, but I kind of wonder what's the point when we're 5 goals ahead. Sessegnon with the cross. Jair's there. And last season, Jair scores. And for some reason, like I say, he's gone off the boil a little bit, similar to Carlos. And I think that's been what's affected our season more than anything. Carlos and Jair, who are 2 young Brazilian players who were fantastic in their first seasons, have just not quite been the same this year. And it might be they'll come good again next year and we'll win the league. But I don't know. It's like they learned to speak English and decided they didn't like Tottenham anymore. And when you look at the dynamics page, I'll try and remember to show you it after the game. But the dynamics page, there's three friendship groups. And I think this might be the problem we've got here at Tottenham. We've got all the Brazilians are one friendship group, all the English are another friendship group, and everyone else is the third friendship group. And they're not really mingling between them, it seems. And I think that probably is problematic, that we've got 2 very well-established camps of players and then a few in-betweenies, social groups. That's what we want, isn't it? So there you've got your Brazilians and an Argentinian in there as well. Here you've got majority English players. In fact, they are all English players. That is all of our English players, I think, in there. And then you've got everyone who doesn't fit into one of those other groups. Francisco, I'm surprised he's not up there with them because he's Portuguese, so you'd think he'd want to hang out with the Brazilians. But this is kind of our European group. Rodriguez, I think, Argentinian, not in the same group as Rosso. But yeah, this whole split, to me, that seems like a problem that we probably need to fix. But let's not worry about fixing problems. Let's worry about winning the Champions League, which we are on course to do. I thought we're on course for the semi-final. No, that just means we're still in the competition. And our club vision goal is semi-final. We will be back on Monday with the quarter-final. I don't know who we're playing, because I didn't notice when the draw was. So it will just be a lucky dip. I think that's how most draws work. And that will be Monday's episode, possibly still with a hat on, if I haven't been brave enough to cut my own hair yet. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.